Hello everyone, this is Nitpicking Nerd, and this is my review of episode 5 and 6 of Star Trek Prodigy. I didn't review episode 5 because I didn't really have a lot of things to say about it. It was a continuation of episode 4, it was the same story, there was not a lot of new things in it, I barely had anything to say about it, that's why I didn't make a review. Until now, I also wanted to wait until I show it to my small nephew, who is 4.5, and so one of those weekends I babysitted him and tried to watch the show with him, but surprisingly he hated it, he couldn't stand it, he didn't want to watch more than a minute of it. For some reason he totally hates this show. Maybe he's just too young for it, so I'm not sure. I will try again at some later time to show it to him again. But anyway, my thoughts about episode 5 are identical to my thoughts about episode 4. It's basically good visuals, some of the characters are cute, some funny moments, but not a lot of interesting stories so far and all of that. Now, episode 6 just came out, and again it was okay, but nothing really that interesting about it. The only interesting scenes were the ones that brought back classic old characters from previous shows, but it was a little bit iffy, it was a little bit creepy, even the way some of them looked in animated form looked kind of bad in my opinion, and even all the sound clips they used sounded a little bit choppy, and maybe it's my problem that I simply recognize every single line. I know exactly which episode it came from, and so it was distracting for me because I recognize the sound clips, and also you can tell the sound is just lifted from those episodes. You can hear all the background sounds and it just sounds kind of bad. So maybe it's just a problem for me because I'm too familiar with the previous shows, and so it kind of took me out of it. I couldn't concentrate on the moment because I kept getting reminded of the previous shows, and it all kind of seemed like a clip show. It kind of reminds me of my own edits of Star Trek whenever I was creating a new scene out of existing old scenes, and I was kind of editing old dialogue together in new ways to create new dialogue, and so that's how it sounded like to me. And so I couldn't really enjoy the scene as it was supposed to be. The idea itself is a good one, but it was a little bit choppy and strange, and the dialogue itself seemed to kind of be forced into using those lines in unusual ways. Some of the lines didn't really match together well. It was strange how some of the actors that they used, their voices are already dead, and yet others are not. And so maybe they should have just used only the dead ones. It could have been a nice tribute only to the actors that passed away, but some of them are still alive and they still use their sound clips. I think Beverly Crusher, Gates McFadden was the only one who actually voiced her lines presently, and maybe it was necessary simply so they could stitch together the dialogue they wanted. They had to have at least one of those characters make new dialogue to make it all work. I guess it was necessary, but all of this stuff just felt kind of messy to me, and also new fans, new kids watching will not know anything about any of these characters, so all of this will be totally meaningless for them. And for old fans like me, some of this stuff might seem odd and distracting, and also how can the holodeck know the exact quotes of all of these characters from different starships and space stations? And so I guess maybe the computer was always recording everything, and then this ship somehow knows all the logs of all the previous ships. But when creating a new holodeck character, would it use the exact same lines that the characters used in their old ships? And so that's not how the holodeck works. It will create new dialogue with their voices. It will not use the exact same sound clips. And so all of this stuff is kind of iffy in my opinion. The idea of it was nice, I think, but the execution could have been better, and once again it's basically throwing member berries at the old fans to try to please us, but if you're going to do that, you should do it better. It was nice to see the Enterprise D bridge again, of course, and some of the characters were okay. I think Odo looked the best in animated form. Maybe they should have shown him shapeshifting, maybe do something together with Murph or something like that. They could have played more with that. And also I didn't like how all of these characters were at the wrong stations. Like Odo is a security officer, so shouldn't he be standing where Worf used to stand back in the bridge? And Uhura should have been in the back somewhere and not at the helm. And so they should have put characters in their correct positions on the bridge. Why not bring Nog back and put him at the helm? Why bring back someone like Gates McFadden and put her on the bridge? That was a little bit strange. She isn't even the best doctor. Didn't he request like the best ones for their roles and all of that? And from all the doctors that we saw in Star Trek, the computer chose Dr. Crusher, which I think is probably the worst one. Like most of her patients always died. And so I kind of would rank Beverly Crusher as the worst doctor, so it was a little bit funny that she was chosen as the best one. So anyway, all of this stuff was kind of a mess. And the rest of the episode was kind of boring, not a lot of things going on, not any real big story. All the stuff in the holodeck is not real, so it's basically pointless. It's just filler, basically. And the whole idea of the Kobayashimaru stuff was kind of overdone in Star Trek. I'm kind of tired of hearing that. I think in this case it works because these characters never heard about it, so for them they don't know it's a simulation that you cannot beat and all of that, so it's fine in this case. But overall, it was used so many times in Star Trek, I'm kind of tired of it. I wish they would simply use a different name. I'm okay with the idea of the unwinnable test and all of that, that's fine, but they should never use the same name for it again and again, because then everyone would know it's a no-win scenario. So that defeats the purpose of the test. I much preferred it when back in season 1 of TNG, when Wesley was trying to get into the academy and he was given a test like that, but he didn't know it's a test. It was basically all by surprise. It was all real for him when he was going through it, and only then he discovered it was all a test and all of that. So I would much prefer those kinds of stories that will come as surprise even for us, the audience. It can still be done that way. But using the name Kobayashimaru when everyone knows about it, it kind of became silly. You know, even in Star Trek Discovery in season 4 they mentioned it, and it was totally irritating for me to hear that again. Like in 1,000 years they never had a similar test with a different name to it. Like it's always this exact scenario every time for 1,000 years. So that was very annoying to me to hear it in the 32nd century in season 4 of Star Trek Discovery, and now again we see it here. So I was a little bit annoyed by that. And at least we saw Klingons who look like actual Klingons, so that was a nice touch. So it's not set in the Star Trek Discovery universe apparently, because we don't see those kinds of Klingons in this show, so it's closer to how Star Trek is supposed to be. So that's all I had to say about it for today. Let me know what you think and we can discuss it in the comments below, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye.